Welcome to our Week 8 review episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're a day late, so apologies for that, but it's been an eventful Week 8, so we just needed the extra time to process everything that's gone on with the trade deadline and our first head coaching casualty of the season. It's been a very busy week, but we're here to review all of that and everything that's gone on, as well as taking a look at our usual comps, FourFold, ATS picks, see how our bets went on, and our review of Fantasy Gameday, and a look ahead to what is a very swift upcoming week 9, feels weird saying week 9, in Titans, Steelers, Thursday Night Football. Be an interesting one. I've no idea which way to bet on that. It's my two favourite things clashing with each other. But gents, welcome. First of all, how are you both doing? Welcome to the Week 8 review.
Yeah, good. With my blurred background, my thumbs makes it look like I might be flipping you off, but that is a thumb.
So nice. Cool.
Just make that clear for the YouTube viewers.
Appreciate it. It's a family show.
Yeah, certainly. Some of the language maybe not, but yeah, generally. No, I mean, trade deadline was a little. I think you always hope for some big fantasy impactful moves. Where's Devontae Adams going to go? Which quarterback the Vikings are going to get? And it's nowhere in Josh Dobbs. Okay.
It usually is a bit of a damp squib, isn't it?
Yeah, it pretty much always is. I think, being English, we're kind of spoiled by deadline day. And, you hope for that, incredible sense of drama and everything else. And I think, sorry, I know you only asked how it's going, but, I wish the trade deadline was, at 9 p.m. at night rather than, 3 p.m. or whatever it is, Central Time. Because it just feels like it comes and goes. Well, I think if you get it at primetime TV and, get that deal over the line, I'm not sure if anything else would get done, but it'd certainly be more impactful, more primetime eyes on it, certainly.
What we're saying is we need to ship Harry Redknapp over and have him hanging out the side of his car.
Yeah, we need more Peter Odom wingers. Devonta flies to Green Bay and just refuses to get out of the parking lot. It's a bit more impactful when you've got to fly 9 hours across the country.
Do you think Peter Odom wing is going to be trending all over social media channels now and search engines just because you've dropped his name and everyone's going to be wondering what the hell is a Peter Odom winger?
Yeah, all from America. It hasn't been searching America for 9 years, but
it was that long ago. There'll probably be people in the UK still searching for it.
Yeah, and he's still waiting outside QPR. So
cool, Joe. Before we just keep on with Peter Odom winger, how was your week? Are you in a bit of a dark place, Joe? Do you need us to help you come out of the darkness?
It's weird because I was on the dark place Sunday evening, Monday morning, but then the trade deadline actually boosted me up a little bit. So it's it's forgotten. Sunday feels so long ago. It's brand new week and all that kind of stuff. So revisiting, open up some scars in this review show. So you might have to console me a little bit, but can't complain. Still rolls on, sun shining. What else is it to complain about?
Absolutely. Look, there's always opportunity just around the corner. Let's get into the game. So we're gonna have a short view of the games just because we're a bit late on it this week. So we're only going to talk about 2 of them. But first of all, let's talk about we had a rookie QB have his first start in week 8, and the Tennessee Titans offense got a shot in the arm with Kentucky's Will Levis making his NFL debut. The Titans won 28-23 against the Atlanta Falcons. Titans as the home underdog, +2.5. Never go against Vrabel as a home underdog. But ultimately, all anybody was talking about after this was Will Levis. What do we make of what seemed to be a very impressive performance from the rookie QB?
A lot of fun. I don't know how objectively good it was. It was a lot of just slinging the ball, but man, that's fun to watch. It's his first start. I thought it was great. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm sure, thought it was great too. He hasn't had a quarterback player that good since Kyler Murray, I dare say. It's been a long season for Nuke, and 3 touchdowns, 128 yards on 4 targets, or 4 receptions, 6 targets. I'm sure he was loving it. It was really fun to watch, though. That last throw in particular was so impressive. He looked a bit like, Josh Allen-esque. Just that effortless flick, and it goes so deep downfield. It looks beautiful. Like I said, I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't know how long-term that lasts. I don't know. Like I said, there was a lot of questionable and turnover-worthy plays in there. I mean, they didn't get turnover, so all great, but just even giving some life to Tennessee, it might be what kept Derrick Henry in town till the end of the season as well, truthfully, because it sounded like there was a deal on the table with Baltimore and the owner vetoed it. I wonder how much that was in part to, like, let's give Will Levis the best we can give him the rest of this season.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? I feel like the difference between going 2-5 and 3-4 here was huge around actually 3-4. Yeah, the division probably looks out of reach without Jacksonville going, but an AFC wildcard isn't out of the question, I don't think. And if you can just find a bit of form, then we quickly turn this into a winning record, and you're in that race for one of them 3 wildcard spots. Joe, what did you think was most impressive about Will Levis's performance on Sunday?
I think, like you said, it was he got Hopkins in the game. Like he's had a decent year, but it's not been the D Hop of old. And I feel it was the first time it was like, he might still have something to give, and we haven't seen that with Tannehill. I am curious to see what happens when Tannehill does get fit. Like, will Vrabel just how would he handle that situation? I wondered if with that performance would there be like anybody want to trade for Tannehill out there to see what they could have got. So it's impressive, but we've seen plenty of quarterbacks who's had a great first game and looked amazing, and suddenly 2 weeks down the line, you're like, oh yeah, that's why no one really wanted him. But it might work out for them, and they've got the rest of the year. I think they're a weird team where it feels like they're not in a rebuild, but they're also not going to win it. So it's a weird in between bit. So I was going to say, you can just see what you get with him for the rest of the year, but then you're wasting a lot of players on that team. But if you found your quarterback, then you're set. It was interesting when they kept bringing Willis in, and all the fans were booing him, and they weren't happy when they were switching back and forth. So I might not do that next game, but it'll be a good test coming up against the Steelers. So I think he'll be figuring out, is he actually that kind of player who can hit the deep ball? Because I think that was probably the most impressive thing.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of kind of a bit of like old style Russell Wilson with a moonshot, like long passes. Nobody ever questioned, I think, the arm talent that Will Levis had and his ability to throw them deep ones. It was a lot of other things that I was particularly critical of his, particularly his last year at Kentucky. But look, he's come into a not particularly great situation. It's almost like a free hit and knocked out the park. So yeah, but true test on Thursday night playing the Steelers, who even in a loss gave Trevor Lawrence fits. So look, we'll see, but I don't know, something to get excited about for the Titans fans. And yeah, looking at that schedule, maybe not out of this wild card race at all. I mean, you've got a lot of winnable games. Got to play the Jags again, and outside of the Dolphins, they've got to play the Jags twice. I don't know, they could make some noise.
Yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs, but I think just having kind of what I was getting with Derrick Henry is just having that base level of competence around a young quarterback. I think is so helpful. Don't let him get crushed out there. Don't just put him around a lot of rookies to see how they get on next year. You've got to have some kind of base level of this is how things are done. And I really hope Tannehill is useful in that regard, because I don't think they should go back to Tannehill now. Just see what you have in Levis. He showed more potential in one game than Malik Willis showed in any opportunity he's ever had. So right off Malik Willis, that's done. And just go forward and see what you've got with, Will Levis. I did see one great bit of trivia from Ryan McDowell at Dynasty League Football. There is now 6. Will Levis was the 6th quarterback to throw 4 touchdowns on their first NFL start. It's not a who's who of who made it. The best one in the list is Marcus Mariota. The other 4 is Todd Booman, Eric Hipple, John Stouffer, and Gary Kuzo. So hopefully Will Levis can become the best of the 6, because that is not it's a very surprising list, I thought. There's got to be one good one in there who had an incredible debut. No.
Ah, well.
Mariota's the best right now.
Yeah, Mariota is the best right now. Interesting. It's Will. And so Will Levis added his name to another list as well. He became the 12th quarterback that DeAndre Hopkins has had a 100-yard game with, in just what is a stat that I just find absolutely insane, that D-Hop still just keeps on managing to do that, no matter who's there, whatever level of experience they are. First game now, it's just insane. Although D-Hop might be injured and miss Thursday now, which is a shame. But I guess we'll find out that for sure tomorrow. And just to flip to Atlanta, because obviously we understandably have talked a lot about Will Levis in Tennessee. The change, Arthur Smith today has said they're making the change. Heineke's going to be the starter this week. Desmond Ridder came out of the game with a concussion. I don't know if it was concussion-like symptoms or whether it was a concussion or not. And Taylor Heineke went in. I mean, this is a team at 4-4 that is still in that race for the AFC South. I think we've said, or I've certainly said, they've got a better chance of winning that division if they play Heineke. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Smith going with the change at this point?
I think it was getting to the point of needs must. I think, I don't want to be too lacking tact in the way I say it, but I think because I think Ridder was cleared during the game that he didn't have a concussion, and Smith, as he usually does, is very vague in his answers and very smarmy in his answers, in my opinion, of like, he's doing what's best for Desmond. It's like, but he didn't have a concussion. So, like, if he's the starting quarterback, shouldn't be out there playing. But again, he never has good answers for these situations. Last week he was calling it toxic groupthink that anyone's questioning Desmond Ridder as a starter. And 1 week later, with Ridder not having a concussion and having no reason to sit out physically by all accounts, he's now not the starter. I think it's kind of a must for Atlanta. Ridder's fumbling the ball away. I don't think it's necessarily the end of Desmond Ridder's starting life in Atlanta. I don't think he's ever going to be a long-term starter, but I kind of expect Arthur Smith to go back to him after a couple of weeks. I agree Heineke's a better option than Ridder, but, it's not like they're getting Patrick Mahomes in there or Joe Montana. Like, it's still a sub-average quarterback they're trotting out there. I think he'll pass the ball better. I think Ridder's probably going to be more of a weapon on his feet. I think maybe just as changes as good of a rest, and I wouldn't be surprised in 3 or 4 weeks we see Ridder back out there. Maybe if they go 1-2 or 2-1, I'm not 100% sure what the schedule is, but I think you may be getting a slight upgrade, but not huge. I think it's good for like the likes of Kyle Pitts and Drake London though, for like fantasy football, who should see more slinging the ball around.
I think Taylor Heineke, I think, just gives you a better chance. He's also way more fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Just way more fun to watch. And even just in that game, him coming in, prepared to throw the ball downfield. He's prepared to take chances. He's going to turn the ball over a lot, but he'll keep you in games, and it'll be interesting to see how that tilts the race for the AFC South if Smith sticks with it or if it goes badly and whether he flips back to Ridder or not. Cool. Right, let's wrap that one up. Joe, we'll come to you for the next one. Cincinnati Bengals strolling in to San Francisco or Santa Clara and beating the Niners by 2 scores, 31-17. Start with you. What are your thoughts?
It was one of them weird ones where I went into it being very pessimistic and being like, oh God, we're not going to... I wasn't... I think I picked the Bengals, at least to cover the spread. I wasn't confident 49ers would win because they were playing a quarterback who's similar to... played better than Kirk Cousins, but has similar kind of traits, and he cooked up the defense, and that's how it was, especially the first half. This Bengals absolutely, destroyed that defense. The offense got touchdown. Maybe a field goal and fumble right at the end. They was just not stopping them, and I was worried about the defense. I'm more worried by Steve Wilkes. He did all right to start with, but some of his play calling's not the greatest. I've been seeing online that Sherman's been calling him out because he's playing a lot of man in defense, and that's not what they're used to. Now we're playing zone, and I think there was one where even like Tony Romo was like, "Oh, why are they leaving all that space there for like Chase to be 1-on-1? That space is ridiculous." And Bubba's just got it and just ran in that space and got like 9 yards on like a 3rd and 8. So they were just like daft things like that where they just couldn't get off the field. It's similar to the Vikings one. I didn't think Purdy played terrible, especially the first half. It was just mistakes near the end when they were chasing it, especially that interception when he tried to flip it out. That was probably the worst one where he just put it straight into the guy's hand. But it was a good play by their defense. The other two, I'm not. He was chasing it and he was throwing it down the field and they needed quick scores. So, it's still not great having 3 interceptions. I think he's finding his level. I was never thinking he's going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback, but could he be? I still think he could be in like a top 15 kind of quarterback. Could he get to that level where he's similar to a Kirk Cousins, a lesser Dak Prescott around that area? I think he's still got that ability to do that, but I think it's like some of the good luck he had earlier on is finally, turning around. And I think the issue is also the running game. We're not getting the running game going. I think that's causing huge issues where the opposition are just putting like 5 or 6 huge men at the front and saying, "Yeah, come on, dare it." And then I think that's why I enjoyed like Roma being commentary. Was like, "Oh, why don't you just do play action?" And in second half, they started doing play action, and they got loads of they got quite a lot of yards that way. Yeah, it's disappointing 5-3, but with what's happened there.
3 in a row, isn't it? But I think Purdy. I thought Purdy played well enough to win. I don't think the Niners lost this game because of Brock Purdy. I thought he had a pretty. I still thought he had a pretty good game. Through three. He had the 2 picks, 365 yards. Kittle had a monster game. Got Kittle going. Ayuk had a big game. CMC seems to have slowed down a little bit, but I think that's just the problems that they seem to be having rushing at the minute.
Yeah, like I said, they're just stacking the box just with huge guys, and obviously with Trent Williams out and all that kind of stuff, they're playing to stop the run. And like when they started doing the play action, they were just dinking and dunking to Ayuk and Kittle all day. So I think they need to get back to doing that earlier, and then obviously when you get them on their toes, and that's when you try and go back to it. I think a few teams have got the formula, and when your defense is leaking how many yards there were. I think it was like historical in the first half. It was crazy how much Burrows was splicing them up, especially with Chase. It's I feel like they're getting all the teams who they've lost at the worst time. Obviously, what's happened with Kirk Cousins, they got the Vikings then, and obviously they've got the Bengals when Burrows looks like he's fit and healthy and playing at his usual standards. But there's a lot more games to be played. So
long way to go. Obviously, on the back of the 3-game skid, the Niners dipped into the trade market, went and got Chase Young from the Washington Commanders for a 3rd-round pick. Chase Young's contract is up at the end of the year anyway, so they might get that back. But what are your thoughts on making the move for Chase Young?
I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. I know he hasn't hit his height, what it was expected, but he's had a good start to the year this year. Feels like he's finally fit and healthy after doing his ACL a couple of years ago. And the fact they're going for like a 3rd-round comp pick, which is going to be if the 49ers get to where they want to get, that's going to be in the 100, it could be around the 100 mark. And they got 2 of them picks. I think one was for McGlinchey, and then they'll get one for
D'Amico,
the GM going to Titans. So they're playing with free money basically. And if Chase does go and sign a big contract, which if he has a good year, he probably will, then they'll get a 3rd pick comp pick in 2025. So it's just a freebie for 9 games, to be honest, and pairing him with that rest of the line where he's not going to get doubled. You can't have too many good players on the line, and I think we've had a step down from the previous years in terms of talent. So why not? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can never have too many good pass rushers, right? And I think there's an opportunity here in more of a rotational role potentially, as opposed to kind of where he was in Washington, for him to kind of make a bigger impact. I think there's been some accusations levied, particularly from Commander fans, that maybe Chase Young doesn't put everything in, and maybe it doesn't work doesn't work hard enough. And, as soon as he's kind of on a play where he's not going to get to the quarterback, he just sort of gives up. So, I don't think that's going to be allowed to fly at San Francisco. And also, I think not being the, one of the main parts of that line, I think, as a rotational player, he could actually come in and cause a lot of problems. So, positively from a pass rushing perspective. So, the Command. It was interesting from the Commanders having given up Montez Sweat, which I'm sure we'll get to later on. But I think just rich get richer again. It's a phrase we seem to use a lot around the 49ers, and a former number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, because when you look at the last few years, they've actually made some big trades on the trade deadline. I think it started with like Jimmy G. They got back in the day. I know, obviously, it's not great now, but at the time, it was like, oh, he's a future quarterback. Obviously, had CMC. Now, Chase Young. I'm sure they got a few other pass rushers the last few, and obviously getting Gregory like a week or 2 ago. It's not been too bad, to be honest. And like with the Eagles getting a not former All-Pro, and then the Seahawks getting better as well on the trade deadline, it's like everyone's decided, oh, we need big players as well. Like I think the only team who hasn't really done it was the Cowboys. Really, I think rest of
not everyone.
Powerhouse in the NFC elite. Yeah, so everyone except the Cowboys
almost
it's probably strengthened within the NFC, the big
Even the Bears are trying to get better.
Exactly. Like the Lions got another wide receiver and stuff, and yeah,
was like, we're good.
I was pretty happy yesterday because I was thinking, it must be it must have been like a second rounder. It must have been, so the fact it was like a comp third round, it's like, well done, John Lynch. You're, doing well again.
I think it made sense for both parties. I think ultimately, Washington have, that's been their strength. That's been their best unit, right? The defensive line, but it's not helping them win football games. So it's almost, well, you've got other areas you need to address. Were they going to give Chase a contract that would have made him stay? Well, based on his production so far, probably not. I think his best year was his rookie year, wasn't it? He had 7.5 sacks, but since then he's had injury problems. He's not played, more than 10 games in any of his other seasons apart from his rookie year. So, it just felt like the Commanders were going to end up getting a comp pick for him anyway. So why not just take it now? It seemed to make sense for all parties. Stuff coming out of the Commanders press though would suggest, and their fans things like would suggest not they're very unhappy that they haven't gotten more for Chase Young and Montez Sweat, but that's the situation they were in. Are the Niners gonna right the ship, Joe? Or are we expecting this slide to continue? It's not got an easy one. I think it's the bye this week, and then they've got the Jaguars next.
Yeah, like I said last week, the Niners always have these weird few weeks where they're not looking great, and then usually the last 6 or 7 weeks, they win 6 or 7 on the bounce and think, Niners in the playoffs again playing at home. I think they're right this ship. I think the buys come at the perfect time. I think they need to change 1 or 2 things up with the system, especially the defense. And I think a few of the players looked tired and just looked a bit sluggish, and a few injuries with like Debo and Trent Williams. If you get them back, and I think they can right the ship. It's like they've got, playing the Jags, who's a tough team, but you've got to beat these teams if you're going to win the Super Bowl. So if they are a Super Bowl team, they should beat the teams like the Jags and Seahawks going forward. But and if they lose to them, then they don't, they're not good enough to win the Super Bowl. So it's fairly simple in that way.
Fair enough. Byron, how do you think the 49ers are set moving forward? I know we've not really talked about the Bengals, which we do need to have a quick chat on, but how do you think the Niners are set moving forward?
I mean, worse than I anticipated, I think. Joe's been kind of not sounding the alarm, might be a bit too drastic, but, cautious, I think, for a few weeks about them, and, clearly rightly so. I mean, like I said, good thing this week they can't lose again. They're on bye. But, I wouldn't say I'm worried. I think getting Trent Williams back is going to be such a huge thing for not necessarily like his play, although he is one of the best left tackles in the league still, but I think just like attitude and the standards he obviously demands of the rest of the line. And I know Debo maybe statistically isn't having as good a year as his breakout year, but it's just the things he allows your offense to do. Like when you combine him and McCaffrey with kind of chess pieces, they can both do whatever they want out of the backfield, they can both motion into routes. It just makes life so easy for Purdy. And yeah, Purdy probably isn't a top 12 quarterback in the league, but that's fine. He plays in the best system in football. That's why you have the best system in football, so you can plug in Brock Purdy and things will be fine. I have no doubts if 49ers make the playoffs. Again, shouting out Joe, like the call of the Seahawks winning the division has got shorter and shorter and shorter as it's going on. I think one more Seahawks winning, another Niners loss, and you might see them become favorites to win the division. I think they're about plus 200 now. So long term, I'm not really sure there's reason to panic, but there is a need to, steady the ship, certainly. I don't think they could have anyone better to do so, though. And I think, fully signing off on what a great deadline day for them. You had Randy Gregory a few weeks ago. You had Chase Young. It just kind of reminds me like Jadeveon Clowney type players who have never quite hit what they should be. But if you just need them for 10 snaps a game, you've got a really nice rotation. Yeah. And, at the head of that rotation is Nick Bosa. So, like, even if he's not been at his best all season, I think allowing him to take an extra 2 or 3 snaps off a game to unwind and come back that little stronger is obviously going to be a massive help.
And we do need to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow looked like the best Joe Burrow we've seen so far in 2023. I thought, especially in that first half, as you've already mentioned, I thought it was just absolutely incredible. Just carved the 49ers apart, and you just don't see teams do that. You don't see people do that to the Niners. Real impressive from Joe Burrow. We think this could be the start of a good run for the Bengals, even though they've got some rough games.
I mean, I sure hope so. They'll look like what kind of anticipated going into the season. And I think, I know we talked in the summer a lot of like the Bengals do start slowly, but Burrow also had a calf injury, which it was clearly really impactful on the team. If he's back to full fitness, and he certainly looks like it, I think the sky's kind of the limit for them. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I think you picked them to win the Super Bowl, Paul. Like, they're as good as anybody in football when they're going. Trey Hendrickson had a great game on Sunday, and their defensive coordinator manages to always seems to play well against good teams, their defense. It's a tough schedule, but I think, like I said, they're one of the best teams in football. There's not many teams I predict them to lose against. They have the Bills coming up, right?
Yeah, they're favourite against the Bills on Sunday Night Football this week, and the Bengals are currently 2-point favourites. Interesting, given kind of they seem to have just cross paths in terms of where they are as teams, right? A lot of upward momentum for the Bengals and not so much for the Bills, which is interesting heading into that one. Just really impressive. And kind of at the end, defense kind of stepped up. They got kind of managed just to shut it down, and then they went in and killed it off, didn't they, with the was it the Mixon touchdown?
Mixon, yeah.
At the end, Mixon had a good game. He seems to have a good balance as well in the second half of run and pass. Yeah. Mixon had a pretty good game as well. If they can get him going, which it feels like they are doing, they seem to be running up the ball a little bit better. Defense is stepping up. You've got Burrow back. Chase has had a couple of big games now. All feels like it's coming together. Big game Sunday Night Football. I'm sure we'll preview that one.
I wish on the trade deadline talk, though, they're a team I'd love to have seen like at a tight end or something. Like, Irv Smith is never going to be it. Just that one little extra weapon would, or even a running back. Because again, like Mixon's been pretty poor all year. He had a great game on Sunday, but like I'd just love to see it add a little depth piece from somewhere. Antonio Gibson from Washington, they're selling everybody off. He's got like, you never want him to be a feature, but that certainly hasn't worked out for him. But he could be a Logan Thomas as well. I mean, I'm just picking on Washington because they're selling everybody, but like those are two productive players who I think could come in and could have made a difference. But yeah, I'm certainly still confident about what Cincinnati going forward.
I thought Bengals would have been a player for somebody in the secondary, but didn't see it because obviously they dropped off a bit in the offseason.
It feels like everyone was looking for like a cornerback. Like I know there's like about 4 or 5 teams. I know 49ers is one of them. I think they were trying to get Johnson from the Bears, but by the end of it, it's just, and that's what I mean. He always feels like they're coming down. It's like 2 days to go. Like, oh yeah, we should actually try and find some players and let's see who's doing terrible. That's what they should extend it for at least till like week 10 to 12.
Yeah, I would say after week 10.
Yeah, because there's the teams who are like eliminated, for example. They're probably like, oh, let's get some draft picks in for next year. Like, why?
I think it's to stop that, isn't it? That's the point where the teams are already gone, just selling up, and
I think week 10 would be a perfect time though, because you've still got basically half the season to go, just under, and like, because by the same token, like if it's week 13 or after week 12, like, what are you going to give up to get 6 weeks of a player? There needs to be some kind of. But yeah, I think week 8 is just way too early. It's because teams don't want to look like they've given up.
Yeah, change it, Goodell. For God's sake.
Yeah, listen to this. Come on,
listen to this.
Well, send it to the league office.
Cool. Right, let's move on and because those are our 2 feature games. We've ended up talking about them forever. Let's run through the FourFold challenge. We'll run through our ATS picks. We'll touch on all the other games, and then we'll crack on with the rest. Gentlemen, well done. Let's start with clearly this FourFold challenge is not my forte, but Joe, you hit your 3rd 4-0 week in the FourFold challenge. Well done. Byron, you hit your 2nd, and I went 1 and 3. So congratulations, gents. Let's run through it and we'll touch on the rest of the games then. So my favorite was, I just didn't even consider this one, couldn't hit, was the Texans -3 at the Panthers. This one finished 15-13 to the Panthers. Panthers get their first win of the season. Bryce Young gets his first win in the NFL. This was a really bad game. I saw a lot of this. This was a poor game. Texans, this is probably their worst performance of the season. Even though they were a lot better when they got beat at Baltimore week 1, they were terrible in this game.
Yeah, and it felt like the Panthers kind of dared the Texans to run on them, and the Texans couldn't really. So, see, all it took was getting Frank Reich off play calling as well. So, I mean, you might have lost your bet, but I'm sure you're feeling satisfied in that sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't need to be, I will be proved right about Frank Wright. He's an awful coach when he gets fired at the end of the year.
This was one of my favorites. I mean, obviously, I didn't back it. I went with the Chargers, but this was one of my favorites as well on the week. I thought the Texans were going to wipe the floor with the Panthers, coming off a bye week as well. And
I think I was the opposite. I think I even said it that I think the Panthers weren't going to go a year not losing, and this just felt like a kind of game where, even though I did pick the Texans in the ATS, that I thought I'd stay away from it because it just felt like a game. There's certain teams are not going to just win one or none. So it's like it was a kind of game where I could see the other team just sneaking out and win how he does it every single year. Yeah. And Paul, a nice stat for you. For your out for 8 weeks, you're 1-7 picking the favorite.
Oh my God. Apologies to everybody's teams out there when you've been a favourite and I've picked them. A lot of them would have lost, never mind just not covered. Loads of them would have just lost. Not won and not covered, but just outright lost. Apologies. I'm just if I ever send through the slip and I've got the Cowboys in that slot, which I have done there, one of the teams I've lost on because it was the Cardinals week I picked them. Do you have to tell me no because I'm not doing that to myself?
Do you want me to tell you another stat, Paul? I did quite a few stats the other night. So when the one win, they beat the spread by 1 point. That's the only one you've had. Your 7 teams which have not gone against the spread, it's 72. So you're minus 71 points against the spread for your favourites.
Brilliant. Who was the favourite? I forgot who it was.
I think it was like the first week. It was the Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles Patriots, right?
Yeah, when
week 1.
Yeah, we won by 5. We were -4.
So it's 7 in a row. 7 in a row. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try and rectify that this week. Thanks for that. Byron, you were on the Chargers. The Chargers comfortably dealt with the Chicago Bears 30-13 on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Tyson Bagent wasn't playing the Raiders. I mean, the Chargers defense isn't anything special. Still conceded 13 points to this Bears team, but this one was never really in doubt, I don't think. It was put away pretty early by the Chargers and kind of just kept a professional victory, which I think is probably going to be applicable to Joe's underdog favourite as well. It was just take care of business and move on to next week.
Yeah, Chargers needed this one, I think, and unsurprisingly, they got it. But to get about 3 and 4, they need to start pulling themselves together if they're going to be serious about getting into the playoffs in the AFC. Chicago 2-6. We've had another coach not disappear, but end in odd circumstances. It's the running backs coach now who's just gone, and I just don't let Matt Eberflus talk about it because he just creates this. I don't know, around this mystery around it. Like, he's just gone. We're not going to tell you why. Talking about off-field things. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, the sort of man you want leading your, football team, like your organization. Imagine him even as a business leader. It's just like, he's not somebody who should be talking to the media.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen, and we'll touch on it, the rages of clean house of GM and coach. I think the Bears will be doing the same. I think Ryan Poles is gone as well.
I'm curious, but they've just got Sweat, so it just feels like a weird thing that they've just let him give like a sec. Because it's a second round, but a second round for the Bears is going to be like
pick 34, 35,
something like that. Because obviously last year they got Chase, and that was pick 31. I think
32.
32.
Yeah, it would normally be 33, but the Dolphins didn't have the first rounder last year.
Course, so it's just like. Yeah, so that's why I don't mind it, like from the Washington side of the Montez Sweat thing, because they're going to get a high second rounder. And it also makes sense to the Bears. They need better players. That's what start of the year. That's why I was like, had him nowhere near the playoffs, just because they've not got any good players. And I know his contract's up at the end of the year, but at least they've got the inside run to sign him because if he goes to free agency after the Commanders, is he really going to go to the Bears? Is he going to choose the Bears? But at least here they actually get a good shot to work that out before the season ends.
Yeah. Cool. Joe, you were on the Lions on Monday Night Football. Real comfortable. We had a big...
It was not comfortable. They should have been winning by like 40-odd points. But most of the game. They kept it super close. Like the first 3 drives went off like field goals. Then the Raiders just ran it down the throat and scored a touchdown. I was like, oh, God, here we go. Especially being -8. And then they kept getting up by 9, and then obviously they had the pick 6, and it was like, oh, for God's sake. And then they went up 9 again, then fumbled in like the 5-yard line. I'm sure they did something else like near the end zone as well. I could have fumbled it or like something like that. So I was like, oh, it's at 9 points here. The Raiders are going to just get, a field goal. And then they got to 12, and I was like, again, they scored the touchdown, but they got pulled back for a penalty, and they only hit the field goal. So it was 12 points. And then the Raiders, and it's a reason why they got fired. Jimmy G missed 2 open Devontae Adams running down the line for I think it was like a 90-yard touchdown, and the next was going to be like a 70-yarder to make it like 5 points. And then I thought, the Lions are just going to kneel it here. So it was more nervous. Like the Lions should have had at least about 40, 50 points. They fumbled it in pick 6 and all sorts. And I think the Raiders were on the field for about 2 minutes, it felt like, but still they had a chance of, covering this spread. So.
Yeah. Time of possession.
I was relieved by the end of it. I was up and down.
20 minutes to try. Jamar Gibbs, I suppose this is kind of the game we've been waiting for him to kind of, really break out. 152 yards on the ground, another 37 in the air and a touchdown. I was very grateful from a fantasy football perspective. About time he paid off. But another pretty solid performance from the Lions. I say it could have been a lot more, but, taking care of business.
Yeah, I think one little thing to maybe not get too excited with Jahmyr Gibbs, it was really good to see, but this is the defense that Deonta Foreman looked like Derrick Henry the week before.
That's true, yeah.
I think what will help, they want to buy this week, obviously, and then Montgomery will be back.
And Peoples-Jones.
And Donovan Peoples-Jones will be in there as well, but I just think, if Gibbs gets 45% of the workload, 50% of the workload, and Montgomery does the ugly work, I think that works well really for both of them. Especially the Lions are going to be a long-term team this year. They're not going to be, finished by December 1st. They're going to be there through the playoffs. So I think I'm not necessarily, Jahmyr Gibbs isn't someone I want to see get 25 carries up the middle of the game. I want to see him out in space. And, for fantasy, it can be frustrating if Montgomery gets those vulture touchdowns. But I think for the best for the Lions and the best for Gibbs is a double-headed attack.
Yeah. Lions, you mentioned there, traded for Donovan Peoples-Jones from the Browns. How do we see him fitting into the offense?
I think I'll let you go back.
I think we're probably going to say the same thing. It's more of an indictment on Jameson Williams than it is. It's a nice extra weapon for Detroit, certainly. I think it takes the pressure off Jameson Williams a bit because he doesn't look like he's grasped. I mean, he was a 12th overall pick 18 months ago, which feels crazy for how little they've got out of him and how little he looks to be an NFL player. But they did lose Marvin Jones as well. He stepped away for personal family reasons. So I think just having more bodies in there who are competent is going to be really helpful. Again, they're here for the long haul, the Lions. So I think it is a bit of an indictment on Jameson Williams, but I hope that he's got something there to come back with as well. But DPJ was really good last year for the Browns. He's obviously had a bit of a nothing year this year, really. But I think there's obviously talent there. He's not going to be the wide receiver one, but a role player, certainly.
Yeah, I think he got 900 yards last year with Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, so, and you can't have too many, pass catchers, playmakers. Like, if he's your number 3, you're like, oh, we're in a good shape that he's like our third wide receiver, possibly could even be a second. At the end of the day, why not for a 6th-round pick? Like, who you really like? 6th-round picks, most times, they're not in the league the year after, or like a couple of years. Is their own special team, so why not? While it's your year and how the division's looking and the conference, like why not go for it? Why not?
Yeah. K Witt, our guest picker for the week, also got stung by the Ravens. Just had a nightmare for me this week, and us really, because we were huge on them. And actually, before we move on, Joe reminded me, we didn't talk about the Raiders, we just talked about the Lions. Josh McDaniels gone. So let's talk about that before we talk about the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, you've got a feel for him. Top bloke. Good guy. Great man manager.
Man of his word.
Yeah. False. No, fuck Josh McDaniels. I know it's a family show, but great to see. Fantastic, hilarious. He's been tanking that franchise since he got there. Not a likable guy. Doesn't seem to have... I mean, he's a good play caller, like, as an OC, but he's not a leader. He's not a head coach. I'm sure he's going to snuggle back to Belichick and he'll be OC in New England again next year, probably, or he'll end up there before the end of the season, no doubt, as a consultant, so they don't have to pay him. I just think it's great. Mark Davis, I have no idea what he's doing. I don't think he does either. He's still playing John Gruden. He's still paying Josh McDaniels for a couple of years. They're not going to be able to sign any players because they've got no money. I wouldn't want to be a Raiders fan.
No, it's. I mean, that's it done. McDaniels doesn't get another shot right now. That's him done as a head coach. Yeah, surely not. And what struck me is odd is a bit of the timing around. Look, there was the Raiders are in a real bad spot, and there was some assets there that they could have cashed in on and probably got a decent return on. Devontae Adams is clearly very unhappy.
I wonder how much of that is why it happened, because the OC went as well this morning in a separate move. And I kind of wondered, did Mark Davis go down and go like, okay, you get Devontae Adams 15 targets a week? It's like, well, I can't guarantee it. It's like, well, see you later. We'll get somebody else who will tell me that we can do it every week. There was a small part of me that wondered if Jimmy G might end up back in San Francisco. Obviously, it was never really rumored. I just kind of like, I don't know, it felt like a bit Shanahanian to like just out of nowhere, Garoppolo ends up back there. I mean, the money would have been too much, I think, for San Fran's stomach, but you can always find a way to finagle these things.
Patriots could have got him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that'd be a downgrade, really, because then they're not going to be throwing deep to anybody this year. And Jimmy G, when he's throwing short, is fine, mostly. But yeah, it's just a meltdown in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know what else you can say.
Anybody that was relying on Devontae Adams on Monday night for their fantasy football team, one catch for 11 yards off 7 targets. Like if you were just needing a shot, a nice little 10, 12 point from Devontae Adams, you weren't getting it.
Yeah, I'd given up.
I was going to say, because I've got Adams, but I think I was leading by like 5 points. So I was like, okay, I don't have to worry and stress about that kind of thing. Whatever he gets, it's all good.
Yeah, I ended up winning in my work league. I figured I'd lost the week. I was so far behind. I had Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions defense, against Devontae Adams. And I literally didn't even check it till the end of the game. And it's like, I'm up by 3 points. What the hell happened? And yeah, Devontae, thank you very much, mate. Thank you. Yeah. Josh McDaniels, what a leaving gift.
Jimmy G out of starter. That move's been made already. It's going to be Aiden O'Connell. I think that's probably the end of Jimmy G as well, isn't it, now?
I'm pretty sure he's going to take over, because it's like a weird week 8 where it's a long time for an interim kind of coach to get in, but you also all the probably good coordinators or head coaches are out of work, so it's going to be, who are actually on teams, so you can't obviously hire them. So is it going to be like they're going to get like a random head coach who they have to keep for 2 years when nobody really wanted him, and it's just like keep going? I wonder if Rex Ryan, that would be interesting.
They've said that. So it's Antonio Pierce is the interim, and they're going to do their search at the end of the year. So I think they're just going to say,
okay,
it's Antonio Pierce through the end of the year. So I don't think they're going to make any attempts to bring in anybody for a more solid hand. I wonder what Rich Bisaccia is up to nowadays, because he's got a better record than Gruden or
come to the playoffs.
Feels like that was a moment in time, doesn't it, for the Raiders, whereas they went for McDaniels instead of giving Rich Bisaccia the job. He went to Green Bay as special teams coach. I don't know if he's still there. Rich Bisaccia felt like maybe he was the one to take it on, because he just kind of pulled everything together. Everything that had gone on with Gruden, with Ruggs, and he seemed to find some unity and some real togetherness in that Vegas team, and then it's just kind of all gone to shit really from that point. How's this anyway? The Raiders then this week have sacked their head coach, offensive coordinator, general manager, have changed their starting quarterback, and yet this week they are still favourites against the New York Giants. The Raiders minus 1.5 point favourites against the New York Giants. I think that says more about the New York Giants, doesn't it? But
yeah, I think I'll be back on the Giants. Might be my underdog of the week.
Just wild. That's how little is thought of the New York Giants. Let's move on then. So thanks for checking me back in on that, Joe. Good Raiders talk. Yeah, the Ravens against the Cardinals. This was the last game that finished in that slate, and watching the last 10 minutes of this game was absolutely agonizing. Baltimore finding every which way possible to not cover. It was ridiculous.
Trevor Bride just kept running that same route, and like looked like prime Gronk and Travis Kelce combined for 12 minutes. It was baffling.
It was ridiculous. Everything. Raven. I got spot off. So where Ravens stopped the 2, there were 10 points up. Was it Nelson Aguilar that made a mess of the onside kick? And then the Cardinals then waste a load of time. Think they're going to carry on trying to get the touchdown, but no, we're going to kick the field goal to kick another onside kick. It was agonizing. And yeah, Baltimore Ravens 8.5-point favorites, only win by 7. I felt like the Ravens should, very similar to the point you were making about Detroit, Joe. Really felt like, I know we had a bit of a mix. The Ravens scored 30 points, yet the offense actually looked a mess for a lot of the day. It was, only kind of Gus Edwards. Lamar didn't really get going. A lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of drives just petering out at midfield. And yeah, I'm real down on the Ravens after this, but that's solely because of what they've done for not covering the spread and also knacking what looked like we were going to have a great Fantasy Game Day week as well.
Yeah, just Gus Edwards was like kind of the lone, like you said, bright spark. Lamar was 150 yards passing.
Yeah, Lamar was really bad.
Yeah,
and part of that was the Cardinals defense. The Cardinals secondary was good.
Yep.
But yeah, bit of a mess. Cardinals talk. Josh Dobbs is gone. He's been traded again.
Yeah, I find it funny as well. He was traded for a fifth in the summer. I think for what Josh Dobbs is, he's been great this year. Like if you have a performance versus who I think they are award of the year, Josh Dobbs will be up there because I think he's been really good this year. Like,
not only one game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought they wouldn't win any games all season. To be fair, when we go back to the summer, like they were the overwhelming favorite for the number 1 pick. They've been competitive most every week, and it's not like a Geno Smith renaissance where he's been like top 5 or anything, but like he's looked like a starting NFL quarterback, which I didn't think Josh Dobbs was when they traded for him. I thought it was a joke. People were saying like, "Oh, this is a ridiculous tanking thing" when they started him over Colt McCoy and released Colt McCoy. I don't know how he's gone from a 5th-round pick though to like a late pick swap. How has his value not gone up? I guess like his contract's up this year. I'm guessing he only got a 1-year deal. I don't know that, but I would think he has. I just kind of thought that was funny. Like you couldn't even get just a 6th for him. They had to do an entire pick swap.
I'm guessing it's just because the Cardinals know he's not going to be the quarterback next year. Murray's coming back, and they're gonna, if they get a high pick, they're gonna choose one. So it's a bit like just get what you can from him.
Yeah,
that's what they just thought because they were going to drop him anyway. It looked like. So I don't know if that had to do anything with the trade, but they said before the trade happened, like he checked the tape and they were actually going to start the rookie. There is instead. So it must have just decided let's just get at least something for him and plan for next year when Murray comes back.
I mean, they're still on track for the number 1 pick, right? At 1-7. So,
yeah,
it looks like that's the way it's going to go in. I don't see them particularly winning many more games, even if Kyler was to play. Surely you don't play Kyler.
I think they will.
Yeah, I think they will as well. I think it's that weird. They'll play him and they'll end up getting like the 6th pick or something like that. I was surprised. I was wanting him to get traded, something like the Vikings to trade for him.
I was hoping for the Vikings too.
For Kyler Murray, I thought that could have been interesting. Some team just going for Murray and just saying we started for next year.
I mean, surely, there's enough tape on Kyler Murray there for people to know what you're going to get. And you'd surely, you're probably going to have the chance of getting one of a quarterback that you want. Then you just get as much as you can for Kyler Murray and do not risk him getting injured.
Yeah, I can see the logic to that. I think that's kind of one of them like fantasy football type decisions where like to us that makes sense. But I think in terms of like a locker room who are trying to win games, they want the best players out there. And Kyler Murray wants to play football. Like, I think it's very rare that you can have a player who's really wants to play and a first-time coach who really wants to win games. And I just don't think in reality, it really works like that. Like for fantasy, it's the kind of thing where like I'd keep him on IR as long as I could because like I'm trying to tank. But I think when it comes to the actual locker rooms, I don't think they really. And they're just not good enough.
And I think because he's a first-year coach, they might be thinking, "Oh, we could get something out of Murray. Murray could be our quarterback realistically if he plays well and they have a high draft pick. They could either just swap that for for a boatload as well if there's loads of quarterbacks." because he's a new head coach and he could be,
And
Kyler's not a bad quarterback. He's still top 15. He's still a top 15, potential top 10 quarterback. Any of these rookies are not guaranteed to be better than Kyler Murray.
No, but I feel like as a new head coach, you just kind of have that. This is my guy. This is the way we're going.
But they don't know if he's that guy unless he, plays in their system and whatnot. So they might think.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense for Gannon to take a good look at Kyler Murray because, like you say, never mind even trading the picks away. You had Marvin Harrison to that, or one of those big old linemen straight up, and they've got the Texans pick, which isn't going to be early, but it's not going to be
it will be late,
if they don't need to add a quarterback, and Kyler Murray's throughout most of his career, he's been really good, and his coach for his entire NFL career has been Cliff Kingsbury, who I don't think was an overwhelming success. I'm not saying this Cardinals team is an overwhelming success either. We don't know what they are, I think, with what they've had to play with so far this year. But I'm kind of really interested. I really, like Joe said, that was my one wish. So I was like, send Kyler Murray to Minnesota. Addison, Hawkinson, Jefferson, a good old line, a defense that kind of isn't very good. I think that would be great, especially, again, putting on my fantasy head. But it didn't happen. Maybe it'll happen in the summer. Who knows? But
let's see. Let's move on to our underdogs then. So both me and K-Wit were on the wrong end of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers defense did absolutely everything it could to put this team in a position to win this game. And sadly, the offense just couldn't do a damn thing. Kenny Pickett went down. He got absolutely murdered. It was a huge shot they took. Mitch Trubisky came in. Sounds like Kenny Pickett's going to be able to play Thursday night. But yeah, just Pittsburgh just couldn't really get anything going at all, and the Jags didn't need to do too much offensively to go and win this one.
No, I mean their 100% record as favourites in Pittsburgh continues, which I think is important to them. It kind of just did what they needed to do again. A professional kind of job from Jacksonville, I thought, just keep them far enough out of distance, and didn't need to really get out of second gear, I don't think.
Yeah, 5 in a row for Jacksonville now. They seem to have really got a grip of the AFC South now, sitting pretty at the top of it. They are 3 games, I think. 3 games ahead of Houston. Yeah. Or 3.5, I guess. But yeah, looking really good to actually run away with that division when we're all sort of saying preseason. Yeah, they should win it, but it might be close. That's what it looks like they're going to run away with it. Byron, you were on the Bengals plus 5.5 against the Niners. We talked about that. Joe, Saints against the Colts in what turned out to be a really fun game. You were on Saints plus 1. This turned out to be a real high scoring game, real fun one when it kept cutting to it on Red Zone. Where did we?
Yeah, I watched some of them. Yeah, near the end, and only I got it at -1, so it flipped by the time I put the money on. So I was like, "Is this going to be one of them where it screws me out of the money by winning on here?" But no, the Saints played the best game they played all year, especially the offense. They actually went up and down the field fairly easily, and Derek Carr had some big plays. It felt like they were actually using the weapons and actually having a good offensive game instead of what's really happened all this year. And I was surprised because the Colts defense is they're not chumps. They're probably an average one. So it looks positive for Saints, but I feel like they're similar to the Falcons. You'll watch them one week and you think, they're going to win the NFC South, and then next week they score 10 points and they look like the worst team in that division. So good win, and I think it ended up comfortably near the end, especially with the big Shaheed's. I think it was his start. We did have 3 catches for 158. I think
153.
Yeah, not too
I
bad.
Feel that feels like right up Derek Carr's street, though.
Yeah,
throw the ball deep to Shaheed, and we've talked about him loads. How funny he is. Great deep threat. And then you've got everything else. You should have everything else to supplement it. Kamara had a really good game as well. He's come back after his ban looking, just looking like what you'd expect to see out of Alvin Kamara. Can they get Michael Thomas really going? I think Olave's dropped off since he got nicked the other week.
Yeah, he seems to. Someone had mentioned one of my group chat, Saints fan, that Kamara recently had been speaking about the receivers and kind of had a bit of a pointed comment about how Olave doesn't study and doesn't really put the work in. It just kind of comes to him, which is great when it's coming to you. But there maybe is like a slight question of work habit and attitude. Obviously the speeding thing. 17 to 35 is never good. But I think he's someone who I think needs a big second half of the season, considering how good of a first, rookie year he had. It seems to have kind of petered out a little bit. He had that one really bad drop. It looked like he was going to go 50 yards for a touchdown, and instead it just hit him in the face mask, which never a good look.
But yeah, somebody needs to
can I
go on.
I was going to say, it feels like Shaheed is very much the how Byron sees Mims. That kind of
definitely.
Where he's like the fastest. That's how I think Byron feels like Mims is going to do every week, what Shaheed's basically doing. So you maybe have to like switch it, Byron, from Mims to Shaheed.
I'm fully on board with that. I loved Rashid Shaheed last year as well as a rookie when he was doing it like Mims was, like once in a blue moon. Love to see him getting featured though, because these are the players I always want to do well, because there's no reason they don't. Get him in space. That's all you need to do. You can't teach speed.
Just have him running 9 fly routes. That's all you need to do, and throw in the ball.
Well, that's what Shaheed had said after the game as well. Like, what do you lend your success to? And Derek Carr said to me, if you see quarters coverage, go deep. Like, as simple as that. Like, what a great play call. Like, if you get the coverage that lets you get space, run.
Yeah.
You don't need all 11 players to be doing like intricate option routes. Just get down the field.
Yeah. Interested to see if Carr can get in a bit of a groove, because again, this NFC South's there for the taking, isn't it? And I'm leaning towards it being I think the Saints will be the team that comes out of this. I just think they are the better team. Falcons are a bit of a mess. They've already switched quarterbacks, but yeah, I just feel that they're going to be okay, and they've got a good run of games. They've got Bears, Vikings, Falcons, the next 3, the Saints. You could start putting some distance between themselves and Atlanta right there. Even the next 6, they've got the Lions, but they've got Panthers, Giants as well. It's a real soft schedule, so could see the Saints maybe start putting a bit of a run together.
And it's the Agent Bears as well on Sunday, so
yes. So K-Wick was on the Steelers with me. Hi, the one I hit was the over, Ravens Cardinals, that we've talked about. The over, Saints Colts, for you, Byron. And the over, Eagles Commanders, 38-31. The Eagles push, but more importantly, hit the over for you. I hit the over very comfortably. I think we got 69 points. Eagles, again, I know I ended up with 7, but look pretty comfortable.
I feel like Commanders always play them tight. I think it's just a kind of game where, Eagles went ahead near the end, but it was still a tight affair. Like Sam Howell probably had, one of his best games of the season again. But I think I put the under on last time the Eagles in Washington, and it went over by quite a bit. So for reversing them, it's fairly comfortable. And when you got, AJ Brown scoring ridiculous touchdowns and just absolutely dominating, you've got to go the over, really.
Yeah, record break, 6 in a row with over 125 yards receiving. He had 2 touchdowns on the day as well. Caught all 8 targets. It was a monstrous performance. AJ Brown was our Fantasy Gameday captain and got us off to a great start. Eagles rolling. Plus point for Washington. We've talked about how they've got rid of Young. Sweat went as well. It does feel like that start of let's just rip it all apart and start again. But somehow only sacked once.
That was going to be my little fun fact, yeah. Incredible. And I think he was the highest scoring fantasy quarterback of the week, if I'm not mistaken.
He had a great game. Yeah, 397 yards and 4 touchdowns versus the 1 interception.
Yeah, and 1 sack. I mean, it's ruined all our he's going to get sacked this many times in the season numbers we've been doing every single week. But, I mean, good for him.
Still on track for 90 plus, though, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Yeah, I haven't actually done it this week just because he had a good week. I thought I'll lay off him, but we couldn't make it a full show. Yeah.
Well. But yeah, Eagles 7-1. Looking pretty ominous. Big game, Eagles Cowboys next week on Sunday. Huge one for the NFC East. K-Wick completed the overs for us. All 4 of us hit the overs. Patriots Dolphins looked close for a minute, and then the Dolphins just kind of stormed away with it.
Yeah, not much to say, I don't think, really. went as we kind of expected, and yeah, on to next week for Miami.
On to next week, Miami 6-2, a huge one for them. It's week 9 shaping up to be a great week. We've got Dolphins Chiefs in Frankfurt in Germany as well. Start the Germany games. That should be an absolute cracker. That was them 3 games, and then we've got Dolphins Chiefs, Cowboys Eagles, Bills Bengals. Just set out through the day. Probably throw Seahawks Ravens in there as well, can't you? I guess as one of the early games to look out for. But yeah, just a real tasty week of football. But we're not here to talk about week 9. We're here to talk about week 8. Finishing off on the unders, I went Rams Cowboys, and that just went to pot very early on. Don't think anybody saw that going quite like that. It was just chaos in that first half. Yeah, Cowboys back on track though. Really, really needed a big statement when I thought, and got it. CD Lamb in particular was a beast, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said in our chat on Sunday, like, CD Lamb's going to cover this under by himself. It wasn't quite that drastic, but career game for CD Lamb, something you always love to hear, because he doesn't get the target share and target usage I think he should often enough for being one of the elite receivers in the NFL. I think sometimes I don't know if it's a McCarthy thing where he just likes to game plan and get everyone the ball a little, but you've got CD Lamb, give him the ball. Like, good things happen. Jake Ferguson had a real good game as well, actually.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen now. That's two games in a row now against the Chargers where they kind of force-fed him a bit on the Monday Night Football to get him going. And then this game, Cooks and Gallup just need to be there as a support. I just always just throw it to CD Lamb. I just think until teams take him away, yeah, I think you have to. Real good thoughts. And their defense came back, had a big. But I thought they were good in the game against Chargers, but I thought they were the dominant best here against the Rams.
Yeah, and I mean, touching on the Rams, I've certainly been very high, full of praise for them for how they've done as a young team this year. But it kind of looks like, again, they're one who might have hit the rookie wall a little. I think their bye week's week 10, so it's not too far away. But Stafford, I think, is missing this week, so it's going to be a Brett Ripien week.
Might be an injury reserve, I've heard.
McVay, wasn't it? That collision was his thumb to the helmet was gross.
Well, apparently McVay said he did his thumb when he did that diving catch.
Yeah,
that's when he actually hurt his thumb proper. Yeah, but I think he had about 3 different helmets during the game, but that big dive was the reason.
But yeah, McVay said IR is not an option. But I seem to recall him saying that about Cooper Kupp when he first got injured too. I'm not 100% sure on that one. That just kind of, when I seen the headline, I was like, didn't you say that about Cooper Kupp? But either way, I think he's definitely out this week. Week 10 bye. So, a couple of weeks, I guess they'll see if IR's an option by then. I mean, if IR's an option in week 11, though, then
that's season.
That's a season, yeah, exactly. So I think it looks like it's probably going to be a year that just kind of peters away for Los Angeles, but they'll always have Puka Nacua. His first 6 weeks of the season were incredible. Reasons for optimism going forward, but I think, it's kind of the end of the line as the Rams as a team to be feisty for this year.
Yeah, fair. Cowboys Eagles, as we've mentioned, huge game. The 4 p.m. 9 o'clock slate. Yeah, it's going to be a great one. That's it. That's all I've got to say. Chiefs, Broncos comfortably under, Byron. This was just a mess for the Chiefs, wasn't it? Really? No way to put it.
I mean, it's that combination of things you can't allow to happen. Patrick Mahomes gets a flu and Taylor Swift doesn't attend. You take those 2 things away from the Chiefs' passing attack and you're going to have struggles.
Deadly.
And a shout out, I've been very harsh on Denver all calendar year, never mind all season. Since Sean Payton was appointed, I've been down on it. But I will say this has got to be the highlight of their year. They beat the Chiefs for the first time since Patrick Mahomes was born, I believe. Certainly since he started playing in the NFL. And to play everybody out, they started playing Taylor Swift over the stadium, which I am always here for pettiness. So good for them. Enjoy your win.
Yeah, no, again, Chiefs, just everything fell off. I was, again, frustratingly watching it being on the Chiefs, whatever they were, minus, was it 9? Can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of them things, like, they only played 2 weeks ago, and they only beat them 19, was it 19-8? Something
it was
like that?
Close, they covered 10.5,
So they only scored 19 there, so obviously they've got something up on them in with like Simmons. What was that? His 5th interception of Mahomes.
Yeah.
So and that's why I thought put the Broncos in the background. Remember the only chance this year to get a WGTC cover. So well done, the Broncos.
Oh Jesus!
I know.
Yeah. Chiefs 6-2, Denver 3-5. It doesn't really feel like they've won 3 games, does it? But yeah, interestingly for the Chiefs. But yeah, broke the streak. It was 16 in a row, wasn't it, that the Chiefs had won against them? So yeah, good on the Broncos for snapping that. Finishing off the unders, Texans, Panthers for Joe, under 43. We've touched on that game already. And K-Witt had the Thursday night game, just Bucks Bills finished 42, under 42.5. Bills didn't cover the game, did they? They won by 6. And Baker had a shot at Hail Mary at the end.
It feels so long ago, that game. That drive from the Buccaneers that took, 7 minutes to get down the field is one of the most mind-blowingly frustrating things I've seen in the NFL in a long time. Get down you're 2 scores down, and they're playing like they're either down 40 or up 40. I can't really decide. Like, where's the urgency? That game was there for the taking. But yeah, I mean, if Chris Godwin turns around a split second, he was being held, but to Hail Mary, you're always going to be held. Yeah. If he turns around a split second earlier, the Bucks win that game and K-Witt loses his under. Like, I can't believe how close that was for how dominant it felt the Bills were for a lot of it.
Yeah, first half especially. But Bills again right in the ship, but just not convincing again. And yeah, Bills could get blown out by the Bengals here on Sunday night.
So yeah, it could be an interesting game. And again, you could see Josh Allen put up a load of points, but and the Bills did add in not free agency on trade deadline as well. They got some cornerback help, which is probably going to be important to them because their defense has really fell off.
Yeah.
And as well as K-Witt missing out on a big pick here, somebody did go 0-1 on the week as well.
Yeah, Charlie picks.
It was a rough start.
We've probably put him in a bad spot picking the Thursday night games, to be fair.
Well, I mean, he seemed happy enough to go and get the treat. He didn't seem to question it. So
I think he needs to look at what Paul's picked and then make his decision. Then because I think he went with Paul, which is the wrong decision.
Well, I flipped from the Bucks, didn't I? I was on the Bucks to start with and flipped to the Bills on this one. But
you're saying you followed Charlie? It's his fault.
No, I flipped beforehand. I'm blaming the dog. Jesus. It was Rasul Douglas from the Packers, wasn't it, that the Bills got in? So yeah, maybe that might help them out a little bit. They do seem quite susceptible, but still not convinced by Buffalo at all. So yeah, this week will tell us a lot about where they are and if they can turn it around. So yeah, as I stated earlier, Byron and Joe, congratulations, well done on your 4-0 weeks. So that's 5 4-folds with, I say we.
Us too,
yeah, between you two. I think that's really good. 5 4-folds in 8 weeks. I think that's really, really good.
So we've hit 50% of the weeks as well. So that's
yeah.
So 4 of the 8 weeks, one of us at least have hit it. So
yeah, well done. I think that's really, really good. Good work. So I'm trying. I'm gonna get there. I think I'm thinking about it. I think I'm in my head too much about it now. I think. But yeah, we'll get there. And hopefully we'll have a guest do one as well, which would be great. So yeah, I'm 12-19-1. Guests are 14-18. Byron's 20-11-1. And Joe's 23-8-1. Impeccable record after 8 weeks. Well done, Joe.
I think you need to start selling up Paul. I think, this season's gone. You got to sell your star players and,
Yeah, I feel like
2024.
It's been a real
exactly.
It's been a real bad 3 weeks in NFL and college has been a dumpster fire. Some really bad weeks in college, but we're going to turn it around and it's going to start with week 9. Let's go to our ATS picks and touch on the games we haven't talked about, which I don't think there are many now. So it started with the I've done this in the wrong order. Sorry, Joe. Started off on Thursday night, we just talked about it. I was on the Bills. Byron and Joe, you were on the Bucks plus 8.5. Well done. I was on the Tennessee Titans plus 2.5 as a home underdog. With you two on the Falcons, we all went Texans. We've been real poor when we've all been on teams recently. It's not been great. Pittsburgh let me and Joe down. Byron on the Jags. Minnesota, Green Bay, that's one we haven't talked about so far. I took Green Bay in the plus point. And you two were on the Vikings. Kirk Cousins out for the season. Sad.
Got
for
in,
him, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame. As I say, he's never missed a game through injury. Kirk Cousins, missed one through a positive COVID test, but I'm sure he would have played through it because I'm not sure how seriously Kirk Cousins took COVID. If I remember correctly, I think he was just it's just a cold. But yeah, I feel real bad for him. How can you not? He's elderly in the terms of NFL quarterbacks, contract year, and playing really, really high level football this year as well, even on prime time. So yeah, gutted for him.
And from the Vikings, it felt like they were like the favourites to get like the number 7 seed as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's blown that bit up because it feels like Cowboys and Eagles, Niners and Seahawks, whoever wins the South, and the Detroit and the North. So I feel like that 7th, it was like, there's a bunch of teams, and it felt like the Vikings were nudging ahead with how good they were playing and with Jefferson coming back and all that kind of stuff. So now it feels like a bit more wide open and who's going to sneak into that last pick. So it's disappointing for the season. I feel like there's been a lot of starting quarterbacks have gone down injured. It felt like, especially the weekend just gone, it felt like 2 or 3 went down and we were getting some rancid backups playing.
It was just a shame for me because they just obviously got a huge win against the Niners on Monday, and that's 3 wins in a row, and it just felt like they were starting to turn the corner, having a very, very favourable schedule. And I thought they would have made it. I thought they'd have got into the playoffs. I predicted them getting into the playoffs with a losing record at the start of the season, but I thought that with that schedule they could have got 9 or 10 wins, and got in the playoffs. And yeah, shame. It's probably not going to be out. I think Josh Dobbs is going to do enough. There was some talk of Jameis Winston. I think they'd have had a better shot with Winston than Dobbs, but
yeah. Wonder if it's too high a price.
Possibly, yeah. Saints knowing the desperate, and they play the Saints this week. They play the Saints soon. I think it was the week after next. Might have had something to do with it. Dolphins we talked about. We're all on the Miami to cover the 9.5. Saints. Me and Joe took the point. The Saints won comfortably. I don't really. Should we talk about this game much? Jets, Giants, the rancid game that just seemed like it was never going to end. How the Giants let the Jets back in, even get this to overtime was ridiculous. I don't know. I know the offense is that bad, but surely you just go on 4th down and go for the yard instead of kicking the field goal.
Got to.
I think I don't blame him too much because, again, where that field goal was, it should be hitting it. You're getting paid, a couple of $1 million a year to make them kicks. It's, that should be bread and butter. And I know he already missed one beforehand, but it wasn't like it was a 60-yarder or something daft like that. It was fairly. It should have been a comfortable kick, and they would have been up by 4, and that's game over. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. So I don't kill him too much for that decision, because again, you should be able to trust your kicker to kick. What was it? It was like 30 yards.
It was 35 yards.
35 yards. They should be kicking that in the sleep. It's and then
conditions.
Yeah. But then, when you flip side, like the Jets still should have been able to go away down there. I know there was like an offside and that stopped the clock and all that kind of stuff. But if that doesn't happen again, they're not getting the field goal to tie. So it felt like there was like 10 different things which happened within like the last minute and a half for that to end up. And I did say it was going to be 13-12 to the Jets. So I was just off by 2 points.
Oh yeah, you're going for scorigami, aren't you?
Yeah. But even though it wasn't a scorigami.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a push and just a downright awful game to watch. But yeah.
And what wasn't that great stat about like the New York quarterbacks that went like in the game? It was like -8 total passing yards.
The Giants,
-9 yards.
-9 yards between Tyrod Taylor and my new favorite NFL player, Tommy DeVito.
Hey, Tommy DeVito. It just sounds perfect for New York.
Have you seen his chain?
Yeah, apparently he's from like New York, isn't it? Like, apparently he's like.
He couldn't be from anywhere else, could he?
No, well, could be from New Jersey, where they actually play.
Well, yeah, New York, New Jersey, I guess. But yeah, very much sounds just like an extra out of The Sopranos or something, doesn't it? I don't know. Someone who's got like a 3-episode character arc in The Sopranos, Tommy DeVito.
Buried under the stadium in 3 weeks' time, is that what you said?
Yeah,
And
possibly.
I did just want to shout out along the same lines as how putrid that was. Kendall Hinton had more passing yards than the Giants managed this week in his one game as the starting quarterback in the COVID season.
Brilliant. Well, yeah. I think we're going to see a bit more of Tommy DeVito, so that'll be interesting.
Are we really? I thought Danny Jones was back this week. No.
Oh,
I know they got Matt Barkley as on the practice squad. So who knows?
give me more Tommy DeVito. We were all the Eagles were -6.5 on this. They pushed by the time it actually changed, but yeah, all in the Eagles covered against the Commanders, Seahawks. Yeah, I was on the Browns. 24-20. This finished, didn't it? It felt I felt a bit robbed because I thought the Browns played quite well in this.
It wasn't like 30 seconds to go to get that touchdown as well to go up by 4.
Yeah,
sneaking it out.
Yeah, I thought the Browns played really well again in this one. Yeah, I think PJ Walker's doing a decent job. I think Watson's back, limited in practice, so that might be the end of PJ Walker. But
it's weird when they have these tough matchups. His shoulder's really bad. We've got the Cardinals on Sunday, right? And he's feeling a little better. Sus.
And Seattle pick up another win. They're 5-2, possibly challenging the 49ers for the NFC West. We're all on Baltimore -8.5. I just don't want to see the Baltimore Ravens anytime soon. I was on the Niners, you two Bengals, all on the Chiefs who lost. I actually found it quite funny in the end that they got beat. Chargers, Byron, you took the Chargers at -8.5, covered with ease, and then we were all on the Detroit Lions. Led to a 6-9-1 week for me. 10-5-1 for Byron and 9-6-1 for Joe. Joe, you've got a 1-game lead over Byron. It's 66-51-5 to 65-52-5, and we're not going to mention my record. Close.
Top 2 are close, yeah.
Yep.
Let's move on and talk about our fantasy. No, well, we don't. Actually, I don't want to talk about our fantasy game day lineup because
too much Baltimore.
Yeah, screwed us. We were on. We'd have been up there. We'd have been top 10 if the Ravens would have sorted themselves out. But anyway, the winner. Well done to Lime 4129, 222.92 points. And I thought a real mix. I didn't really see a bit of an odd lineup to win. I thought it's just a bit of a mash of Handcuff, Burrow, and Chase, but it was just a bit of a mix then of everything else, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, Trey McBride really sticking the knife in that Baltimore cover. Can't get away from it.
Yeah, right at the end. You're about 25.5 points from the tight end, 10 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Bourne, real odd choice. But yeah, again, 1 touchdown, enough for 12.5 points. Edwards, I think, was probably the key. Probably the one Baltimore offensive talent that people probably didn't have. Andrews, Flowers. It really felt like, I mentioned it in our group chat, it really just felt like they were trying to get OBJ going, and that was part of the reason why their offense started. He ended up with no catches. And they were just kind of trying to force feed OBJ, and it just didn't work at all. And as a result, Flowers, Andrews suffered. Kamara, Burrow, and then a real weird choice as captain, Breece Hall, but it worked. So, he had the one big play, which is the receiving touchdown.
Yeah. Odd lineup, but it worked. I mean, we're not in a position to call, I guess. But, if you told me that running back on a team who scored 13 points was going to be the captain of a game day winning lineup, I would be very confused. But here we are.
I still am looking. I still don't know how this lineup won. And of course, the AJ Brown's monster game was in there as well.
That Trey McBride week, I think, I don't know what the tight end 2 will have done this week, but that, I presume his tight end 125 points is a lot, and a lot of garbage time. But all scores the same. All
scores the same, even if it's for a backdoor cover. But a reminder, Fantasy Gameday app, if you're not playing, why the hell aren't you? Go download it now. It's available only in the UK. Apple App Store, Google Store, App Store, wherever you get your apps from, Fantasy Gameday app. Download it now. You pick your team. Look, this is your team. You pick a captain. Plus the rest of your lineup. Your captain scores double points. quarterback, your 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, your flex and a tight end with the £40,000 budget. The game for week 9's up now already, the Sunday Stars game. And that's available. The deadline is 15 minutes now before the kickoff of the first game on the first of the early games on a Sunday. So it'll be 5:45 this week. Sadly, no Chiefs and Dolphins involved. But make sure you go and register with promo code COVER, all in capital letters, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo. Because if you do, you'll get a free game once you've entered for the first time. So deposit, enter a team, and then as you've used the promo code, you'll get a free game, which is pretty cool. Might win some money. Plenty of people have. And that was the first prize pot over £1,000 this week. I think it was 1,084 or something pounds. So expecting that to continue because there was more players this week than there were last week, which was good. So yeah, Fantasy Game Day, go do it now. Winners and losers, let's do that before we have a little look at Thursday night football. Joe, we'll start with you at the bottom there. Do you want to start with your winner?
Let's go the Lions, because they've won again. The Bears are trash. Green Bay are looking trash, and then Cousins is out. So it feels like, and I think they've only got one game against a winning team for the rest of this year. So I feel like they're in a really good position on their bye. They're the winners, going to win the division for the first time in donkeys, and I think they could challenge for a high seed.
Cool. Byron, your winner of the week?
I'll go AJ Brown. Setting that record is a huge achievement and should be challenging for the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. I'm going to go Will Levis as my winner of the week. Great debut. He took a lot of stick. Draft night went horribly for him. He's got dumped. A lot didn't go well for that guy, and he came in his first NFL start and balled out. So well done. Love to see that. I would happily see many more moonshots to D-Hop for the rest of the season. They are fun plays to watch. So well done, Will Levis. I'll start with a loser. I'm going to go for the entire city of New York for having to watch, New York, New Jersey, whatever, having to watch that game. Like if you were at MetLife on Sunday, fucking hell. All power to you for going. And just in general, because all their sports teams suck. So people of New York. Byron, your loser of the week?
Arthur Smith. It follows a kind of similar line to people I like to pick on as losers: Josh McDaniels, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick. Pig-headed coaches who fall on the face. Love to see it.
Joe finishes off your loser of the week.
Let's go Jimmy Garoppolo, because he's a winner in life how he looks, but he's been benched, so he's finally seen some losing for once.
You know what? I don't think it'll bother him that much.
I think it will. If you're an athlete like that, getting dropped by the Raiders for a rookie O'Connell, he's been, like I said, he's been winning all his life. He's not used to this negativity and this hardship.
It's a hardship, yeah. I'm sure we've just, more free time in Las Vegas. Oh, what will Jimmy G do? Before we do anything, I think we've covered all the trade deadline stuff, didn't we? I don't think there's anything that we missed, anything major.
Did we talk about Leonard Williams last time?
Oh, Leonard Williams, yes. Went from the Giants to the Seahawks. A real good move. Big fan of that one.
I think both teams it worked.
Absolutely. I think the Giants should be delighted they got a second-round pick, but the Seahawks will be delighted that they've boosted that D-line. So, very mutually beneficial. Not a mover. I didn't really think they'd get a second-round pick for him. So, I think that's good work by the Giants to do so.
Yeah, real solid veteran presence, I think, on that D-line, another quality player to add for Seattle. Yeah, I think that was the other one we missed on, really. Thursday night football, tough one for me this week. Titans, Steelers.
Yeah.
Steelers.
Just bet the underdog, right?
Yeah, Steelers. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go. Steelers are 2.5-point favourites at home to the Titans. Look, I think we're going to see. We talked about it earlier. Will Levis is going to have a bit more of a test from this Steelers defense. The Steelers defense is playing. They had that one rough game against the Texans, didn't they? Apart from that, they've been unbelievable, I think, at keeping Pittsburgh hanging around in games. They did it again Sunday, even though they lost by 10 points to the Jaguars. They absolutely did it again. And I think, they will pose Levis and the Titans some problems on Thursday night.
Yeah, there is no Minka Fitzpatrick this week, though. He's out with injury. But that Titans O-line's been better than I think, well, certainly better than I anticipated. I shouldn't speak for anyone else. But this is a real tough challenge for them. Between Highsmith and TJ Watt coming at you, second start, 4 days after your first one. Yeah, I think it could be a bit tough going for Will Levis, but I'm not sure how much it's going to bother him, because I think he's just going to sling the ball regardless, and I think that's going to make for good viewing compared to a lot of Thursday night encounters.
Yeah, it should be. I think it should be a fun one. This one, just because I think the noise I pick it's going to play, so it won't be Trubisky. But yeah, Titans as a road underdog and great. 2-8 straight up in the last 10, 5-4-1 against the spread. I think I'm still going to go Tennessee.
Yeah, because looking at your favorite picks out, yeah, I'll go at the underdog then.
Not great. I'll have to have a look on my sheet. I'm doing with the favourites, because I don't think it's been great really. Over under 36.5.
I would have gone under, but that's such a low.
It is a low number, and if they're gonna let Levis throw deep,
take some more facts about the unders and overs of this year. So I've worked out, based on our spread when we took it, out of how many games has been, 72 have been under and 48 have been over. So it's been a very under kind of season by quite a bit.
It feels like it. Yeah, it's good to get a number on it.
And the favourite underdogs are very similar. 57 favourites, 60 underdogs, and 5 pushers. So, it's close on that one. But I'll probably go under, just with how this season's looking and how both teams have been doing. I think it's going to be like a 18-13. That's what
I'd say. It is a low number, but can you see both teams getting to 20? Not really.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Can I see one team getting to 30? No. So I hate betting unders when it's 36.5, though. I won't be betting this, I don't think. Because it just takes one stupid blown coverage or something, and you piss it up a wall essentially.
Yeah, it's a quick special teams or defensive touchdown as well, which Steelers are good for.
Those are my 2 favorite bets of this game as well. Steelers DST anytime plus 700, Titans DST anytime plus 850. I think either of those could easily hit.
I think TJ Watt might be all over Paul Will Levis.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a frazzling night.
Yeah, we'll see. Though, maybe the short turnaround helps. Not got too much time to think about it.
I mean, that was my same thought process for the Bears over the Washington Commanders a few weeks ago, and they came out and played really well, because it was the bad coaches won't be able to ruin it. This is slightly different. I don't think Vrabel and his coaching team are bad like the Bears are, but I think just don't let Levis get in his head. Just keep going out there and thinking you're Jim Kelly or Josh Allen. Just go sling the ball.
Cool. Well, hopefully it's a fun one to watch. There's night. Gents, we'll wrap it up there. I think that's everything. Apologies for the delay in this one, but we'll get this out. And then we'll be back sooner than you think for our Week 9 preview. Quick turnaround time. That's 2 weeks in a row we've done this, isn't it? We'll have to stop that. I need a break. But gents, thanks very much. And as always, go give us a follow. Good Teams and Great Teams cover over on Spotify to be notified of new episodes. At GTW_GTC, available on Instagram, Twitter /X, YouTube, and now TikTok with Charlie's picks. So are we getting a Thursday pick from Charlie, Byron?
Oh, yeah, there'll be one in tomorrow, yeah. See if he goes as the underdog or...
Let's see where he goes. Yeah, 0-1 so far. So let's see where if we can get an improvement on Charlie picks. But follow us at GTW_GTC on TikTok as well. You get a lot more clips on there. We had Byron's rant on McDaniels, which was very funny. So we'll do a bit more of that on there as well. So come have fun. Right, till next time. See you later.
Cheers.
Yeah.